first of all, I think that your intention to take care of me was very tender and very kind and loving. I felt very loved in that moment where it was just for me. And that was something that I really, really learned from, because it really showed me that I, for all sorts of reasons, haven't been looking after myself. And I work too much, and I don't work too much. I work a lot, and I get tired, and I just keep going. And I've always done that, and even more now. And what I've underestimated is the energy that it takes to do to work with my clients after my day job. It's extremely demanding, but I don't even feel it or see it, but I can tell it's the case because my body is really tired. I'm really tired. So when I was with you in the session, first of all, I noticed, I think you asked me what emotion it was telling me, was it? Did you ask me what emotion? What was the first thing you asked me?
Maybe let the emotion talk?
Yes. And the day before, I have a friend whose husband is a healer, and she said to me, what does your tooth want to tell you? What would your tooth say? What would the pain say? What would the pain say? And that day, the day before, all I could hear was, oh, look at you, oh, how did this come about? That sort of sympathetic kind of feeling. And with you, that became deeper when I went into the tooth and you were just doing your thing. I didn't even know what you were doing. I joined you because I didn't know what to do. I thought, oh, well, I'll close my eyes. And so I then was in my mouth, looking at my gum and looking at my tooth like I was the day before. I could see this little version of me looking at this gum and, And then I had a vision. I had a vision of me when I was 16, which is clearly my traumatic pivotal point in my life. Standing with my arms crossed, looking at my back, and my parents were geometrically positioned to the side so that I could see both of them. And I was just saying no. But I was saying no with the force of, it was like wind was blowing, leaves were blowing, dust was blowing, hair was going back. It was powerful. And what I also recognized in that vision was that I wasn't looking for a result. I didn't want a change of plan or a conversation or a negotiation or a compromise or a result. I didn't want them to do anything. I just needed to say no. And that then took me in a drone kind of voyage around my life where I could very calmly and clearly say no, thank you, no, thank you. And of course, my fatigue and my draining feeling is because of not saying no to something, right? And so I could see that I was all of a sudden with my boss at work saying, thank you very much for this opportunity, and no, I don't want to stay. And I felt very calm with that, because that's my ultimate scenario. And then anywhere else, so that then gave me a feeling of together, completeness and internal security. Like how could anything bother me or threaten me when I can say no? And I'd realized how I hadn't said no to really essential things in my life when I was younger. So then when you went into the work, which I think that transition was magical, I think that the way you went from healing into the work was just like, I'd pay for that, Aki. I'd pay for that over and over. I was able to question all of that. Well, your questions took me to that vision anyway. I wasn't seeing that without your questions. And then when we finished, I realized I felt very deeply that it wasn't finished for me. It wasn't out. And I didn't really know that. I just thought, I'll have to go back. This happens to me quite a bit. I have to cut it short, or I have to go and do something else. And I deprive myself that space to really let it finish. So the next day, just not intentionally really, I said to my friend Cheryl, I said to her, listen, an amazing thing happened yesterday, and I really want to share it with you because we have such similar lives and similar experiences that maybe it can help you. So as I was telling her, and I got to the vision, I was in it. I was in the vision, and I was like really emotional. It just came up like a volcano. It was extremely emotional. And I was in that moment, like, you know, I was very, very emotional, but I can't say it was sadness. It was relief. It was this relief, this amazing realization that I'm perfectly okay with or without you, you know, me or needing me to do something, and I can say no to you, you know. And so I was just like, wow. And that really, I then sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And my girlfriend Cheryl has this lifetime experience and memory of her father being very cruel to her if she cried. So of course, for me to cry like that, which is not common, not very often I cry really, apart from when I'm doing the work, she was a little bit taken back. She didn't quite know. She thought this was sadness because she cries when she's sad. And it was so far from sadness, I can't even tell you. But it was freedom. It was liquid freedom. It was just the most amazing experience. And so then I felt ultimate gratitude for the infection in my tooth, because without it, we wouldn't have talked probably, or we may have talked, but we wouldn't have done that. And, you know, I just feel like I needed to suffer to be free, you know, and it means so much more to me. This tooth means so much more. So then I went to the dentist, and he said, oh, this is much bigger than you thought, and than we thought, and you're going to need surgery. And we took a 3D thing, and he said there's a very big infection, and it's all the way into your sinus, and I think it's best that you see the surgeon. I said, okay. So I saw the surgeon, and he, there we go. And the next day I saw the surgeon, and he was so calm. All of them were so calm and loving. I felt cradled, really cradled by them. And I was talking to him, and of course this effect of this work was so powerful. I was just floating for days and days. Really, I've been floating ever since, to be really honest with you. And he said to me, it's very big, it's very tricky. I don't know how it will go. I really don't. I said to him, can you tell me financially what it's going to be? Because there's no insurance for dental work at all in my company or here for me. So he sort of broke it down. it'll be 2,500 dirhams for this, and 2,500 for this, 3,500, and eight if I have to do a graft of skin and rebuild the membrane, the sinus membrane, because he thought that the sinus membrane may have been eaten through by the infection, because the infection had eaten through the jawbone. There's no jawbone above the tooth that had to come out. And I just sat there and said, okay. He said, okay, so we're good. And I said, yes, when are we going to do this? Are we doing it now? He said, no. So I went back a week later. And Aki, I have had a lifetime of being terrified of going to the dentist, terrified and anxious and fearful and rigid and holding my hands tight and going, no, really, really terrified. And I laid there. I said to them, do you mind if I listen to an audible book? And they said, no, not at all. So I put my earphones in, and it was Katie. She had a Great Awakenings audible book. And it was hilarious, of course, as she is, So I'm like, ha, 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 And he's pulling my teeth out and, stitching and hammering. But the funny thing was, at one point, I couldn't feel anything, of course. And at one point, he had to cut the tooth to take it out. And that machine that cuts the tooth was like a jackhammer. It was like, and because I had earphones in, the noise stayed in my head. And it was a shock. I felt my brain jiggle with shock, as if I'd had acupuncture and the muscle was jiggling, It was a jiggle, and I had my eyes closed. I didn't move. I didn't flinch. I just thought, wow, that's something else. And I almost laughed because of the intensity of this surprise. And then I felt this in this darkness while I had my eyes closed. I felt me going like this, almost fainting kind of feeling, And I thought, oh, am I going to pass out? And I didn't. And he stopped. I thought, oh, okay. And then he came back and did a bit more. And that time I had my eyes closed still, and I felt myself going. I thought, oh, am I going to die? Because it was just so big. And so my brain was shocked. I could feel this movement in my skull. It was very, very interesting. And anyway, came out of it and I had a laugh. I just laughed. It was just like, oh, that's incredible, Anyway, then I was aware that he was stitching because he was doing this with the thread. And then he finished and he put gauze in and he said, great work. And I said, me? And he then talked to me and he said, no, your sinus was intact. And I thought that's amazing, because really, if the bone has been eaten through and the infection is in my face because everything was swollen here, then, I understand why he would have thought that the membrane would have been eaten, but it wasn't. It was fine. And he said, I've given you some stitches. They'll come out in a week. And, just here's the list of things you can eat, things you can't eat and everything. And I was just so calm, and I could have just gone to a movie. It was like nothing, really nothing. It was nothing. It wasn't even denial or trying to tell myself I was calm. I was calm to the point of shockingly calm, And so I left. My husband, Brian, was coming to get me, and he was almost expecting in the corner, like this at the waiting room. And I went downstairs into the lobby, and I couldn't talk because I had this big mesh. I'm like, arr! And he said, oh my God, are you all right? I said, yeah. Arr. So we were going home, and I was telling him the whole scenario without words, like, and he was laughing and laughing. Anyway, I came home and I rested. I had the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday off, and I really rested.
Okay.
I had to eat soft stuff, cold stuff and everything, which was fine. And I just thank goodness for that tooth, and I thank goodness for our session. I just thank good. I mean, I really could not feel my tooth after your session. I couldn't feel it. I wouldn't have known I had anything. Nothing, no awareness, because by the time I was talking to you, the infection had been treated by antibiotics. So it was just an awareness. It wasn't a pain so much, but the awareness of it, the signs that said, oh, remember me, they'd gone, you know. So it was very powerful, very, very, very powerful, super powerful. I keep talking about it. Yeah, it was powerful. I really, and you said to me, I'm a novice. I don't know if it'll work. And I thought, oh, it works. And I spoke to my friends in the work, you know, Bupen and other people who I work with, and said, oh, do you know Aki? Yes. Oh, you got to get in touch with Aki. She's doing this healing. It's fantastic. You know, I don't know how much she's charging, but it's brilliant. So I've already planted seeds.
Thank you.